to say that majority believe that the ECOWAS Parliament, in terms of technical capacity, was likely to achieve the first objective. Now, for the second objective, which is to strengthen the institutional role and powers of the ECOWAS Parliament, 16% were of the opinion that it was not likely, but 33% believed it was somewhat likely, 17% likely, and 33% believed it was very likely. So evidently, most of the respondents believed that the Parliament had adequate technical capacity to pursue Objective 2, which is to strengthen the institutional role and powers of the ECOWAS Parliament. Objective 3, to ensure peace, security, and good governance and human rights. 17% believed it didn't have the technical capacity to sustain this. 17% believed that it was somewhat likely that there was enough technical capacity. 17% believed it was likely, and 49% believed it was very likely. So most of the respondents believed that the Parliament had technical capacity to ensure peace, security, and good governance, as well as human rights, to pursue this objective. Now, looking at financial capacity. For the first objective, to ensure the participation and representation of the entire population in decision-making process, a whopping 50% believe that the Parliament was not likely to sustain this objective because, based on its financial capacity. But an even number of 50%, spread between somewhat likely at 33% and then very likely at 17%, believe that there was a possibility that the ECOWAS Parliament could sustain this based on its current financial capacity. For the next objective, to strengthen the institutional role and powers of the ECOWAS Parliament, 17% believed that it was not likely to sustain this. But 50% believed it was somewhat likely based on its current financial capacity, and 33% believed it was very likely. For Objective 3, to ensure peace, security, good governance, and human rights, 33% believed it was not likely to achieve this. Another 33% believed it was somewhat likely to achieve this, while 33% believed that it was very likely to achieve this. So from what we can see, most of the respondents believe that the ECOWAS Parliament had fair enough technical capacity to achieve the these main objectives, and as well as financial capacity. But we all know that if the financial capacity is improved, it also improves the sustainability. The next area is the effectiveness. And the assessment of effectiveness of the ECOWAS Parliament's activities focus on reviewing the Parliament's activities against its expected outcomes. The monitoring of the progress of the implementation of activities seemed to prove difficult due to improper reporting and documentation. This is a challenge that the Parliament had as at the period. But it's important to note that this report, or for me to remind everyone that this report or the review period was for 2016 to 2018, and several changes have been made since then. Respondents believe that there are no measurable benchmarks or clear and quantifiable indicators to measure the Parliament's activities and ascertain if objectives have been achieved, as well as proper systems for documenting and retrieval of such programmatic data when such needs arose for that period. So here, are the respondents' ratings of the effectiveness of ECOWAS Parliament's activities. The questions that we asked were guided, and they covered areas. They covered the member states' opinions. They covered the ECOWAS Commission's opinions. This is derived from the respondents, though. They covered the impression that the respondents had with regards the opinions from member states, from member state parliaments, partners and donors, as well as the general population. And we used a 4-point Likert scale, which shows whether they are dissatisfied, whether each of these stakeholders are dissatisfied, satisfied, very satisfied, or indifferent. And so, from our findings, it states that 20% of the respondents gave the opinion that member states are somewhat dissatisfied. 60% believe that member states were satisfied, and 20% believe that member states were very satisfied. Okay, I need to. For the Commission, they believe that, the respondents believe that 33% were satisfied and 33% were very satisfied, while 33% remained indifferent about the effectiveness of the ECOWAS Parliament. With regards to member state parliaments, 100% of the respondents interviewed believe that they were satisfied. With regards to partners and donors, 50% believe they were satisfied, 50% not very satisfied. And then with regards to general population, we have 17% dissatisfied, 50% satisfied, 50% very satisfied, and 33% indifferent. I will try to move faster because time is fast spent. So now, when it comes to the last result area, which is very important, it's the impact. And the evaluation of impact of the activities of the ECOWAS Parliament is aimed at ascertaining the wider and far-reaching effects of the activities of the Parliament on the economic, socio-political, cultural, and environmental advancements in the region. This is crucial to improving processes and informing decisions on whether to continue or discontinue, replicate, or scale up the approaches used in delivering the activities. And the respondents gave us their opinions on key areas of activities that the Parliament have impacted on the region. According to them, according to the respondents, the Parliament had impacted greatly on the region with regard to its policies and protocols in the area of mediation, in the area of sensitization, and in the area of creating visibility for ECOWAS as a whole. As a matter of fact, most of the respondents were very convinced that the Parliament itself had done quite well in creating visibility for ECOWAS as a whole, and other ECOWAS institutions must have benefited from this visibility. Yes, from every evaluation exercise, there are always a number of challenges, risks, of course. So what we have done is try to articulate the challenges and the risks, and we will give our recommendations. The first challenge that we'd like to note is that there's a dearth of human resources in the Parliament. There are many positions that are yet to be filled up, and these are positions that are very critical to its operational efficiency. And so I'll jump straight to our recommendation. We recommend that the Parliament should intensify efforts towards staff recruitment to cover the vacant positions. Currently, the Parliament has about 47% of available positions unoccupied, and this is a massive obstacle to its efficiency and effectiveness. We also discovered that there are capacity gaps with regards to technical capacity of personnel, and of course, the risk of this is low quality of outputs and inefficiency and effectiveness. So we recommend that the Parliament should carry out a training needs assessment to identify the capacity gaps across board and, of course, provide the relevant training required to bridge the identified capacity gaps. As well, the Parliament may consider bringing in experts and consultants to make up for areas where there are capacity gaps, where that training cannot take care of immediately. 3, funding gaps. I do not think I need to explain too much about critical to the work of the parliamentarians, and we believe that the absence of a research function, a structured research function in the Parliament is denying the parliamentarians of the much needed support. So we believe that the Parliament should seek to engage and probably attach subject matter experts and consultants to the existing standing committees so that they can actually boost this research function. Another challenge we notice is that the Parliament has or introduced joint standing committee meetings. Well, we understand that this is a child of necessity due to the lack of funds. Our fear with this is that certain topical issues may not necessarily be given the front row seat. And so we believe that what the Parliament could do is seek donor support to be able to bridge these funding gaps, as well as adopt the use of an enhanced and well-articulated work plan with clear deliverables for each person responsible. 9, there seems to be low programming and implementation expertise. From our interactions with respondents, it could be inferred that there seems to be a shortage of well-structured processes and skills for the development of implementation of activities. We believe that the Parliament should adopt, and this is important, a results-based management approach to its programming. This will provide a clear guideline for activity development, prioritization, and implementation. Technical staff should design and lead the implementation of activities that they design also. One area that we saw, not so prevalent though, committee, technical experts, and process owners are not always given priority in the participation and implementation of activities. This was gathered from respondents, and we believe that the Parliament should try to do better in this area by ensuring that process owners are involved in activities from end to end so that they can take responsibility for reporting. Absence of a results framework with measurable benchmarks. The Parliament does not have a clear results framework with measurable benchmarks, and that was one of the major challenges that we encountered during this midterm evaluation exercise. So we recommend that the Parliament should adopt a results-based management, should embrace results-based management basically, and build staff capacity in results-based management. With this learning and the tools and techniques, the Parliament would not experience this gap in its planning. Inadequate publicity for the Parliament. We believe that the publicity that the Parliament is getting is not enough, even with regards to its achievements, or should I say especially with regards its major achievements. It's not getting as much publicity as it actually deserves. And so we believe that the Parliament should increase the participation of communications units in parliamentary sessions and meetings so as to enable them to coordinate the dissemination of information to the media, so they can leverage the media to gain good publicity of the hard and good work that is being done. There is a lack of proper alignment between annual activity plans and the strategic objective. Basically, what we're trying to say here is that there needs to be a deliberate approach towards ensuring that annual activities are aligned with strategic objectives of the Parliament is lacking. And so, once again, this comes up. The Parliament needs to adopt a results-based activity planning, budgeting, and monitoring framework for use by the parliamentary committees. Parliament should also provide training for all relevant stakeholders in results-based management and consider engaging consultants where necessary to support the adoption of a results-based approach to their planning, budgeting, and monitoring. The results-based management basically would ensure that every activity is targeted towards supporting the delivery of the results at a higher level. There's a lack of proper synergy between the parliamentary committees and the technical department of the ECOWAS Commission. And this, we think, needs to be addressed as a matter of urgency because, you know, there's poor collaboration with other institutions from what we could see, and challenges in reviewing the budget also are one of the fallouts of that. So what we are recommending is to strengthen the Parliament's relationship with the ECOWAS Commission and other relevant institutions. So we're asking that the Parliament should consider designating somebody to be in charge of relations with other ECOWAS institutions, just as the Commission has someone in charge of that. The Parliament should have someone in charge of that to focus on strengthening their relationships and their collaboration. Lack of sufficient number of staff for strategic planning, monitoring, and evaluation. The Parliament lacks sufficient number of staff to carry out its strategic planning, basically, and its monitoring and evaluation functions. The risk of this is that there is poor coordination in the preparation of activity plans, monitoring and evaluation of its activities. So in the absence of the required internal staff, there might be a need to engage experts from outside to support the institution. 16, poor documentation of oversight visits. The Parliament carries out a lot of oversight visits. While we're conducting this evaluation, we could not find any documentation of output or any outputs, essential outputs from the visit. So we believe that the General Secretariat has a job to do here by ensuring that there is a technical presence at oversight visits conducted by the members, by the parliamentarians, to ensure proper documentation and measurement of progress and challenges. This is just our recommendation because we know that the members of Parliament cannot be expected to be doing unnecessary secretarial work, but we believe that the General Secretariat should provide the much needed support. The Parliament needs to develop technical tools used for capturing and analyzing information during and after the oversight visits. This can be handled by the Secretariat. Absence of monitoring and evaluation. The implication of this is there's the inability to track achievements and results against the goals and objectives. The unavailability of data to effectively conduct periodic evaluation of the Parliament's activities is another implication. We experienced that a great deal, and so we recommend that perhaps there's a need for the General Secretariat to be equipped with a technical capacity, resource persons, and training to support the coordination of planning, monitoring of the Parliament's activities through a collaborative process with committee clerks. To distinguished honorable members, we come to the end of the summary of recommendations, and I will just run through them very quickly. These are the key recommendations, and not as many as the other ones. These are the ones that we think are of optimum importance. One is to intensify efforts towards recruiting staff to cover the vacant positions. Number two is to provide research functions to support the committees and the MPs. Number three, to conduct training needs assessment and provide targeted training for staff. 4, to advocate for further enhancement of the powers of the Parliament. 5, to strengthen the relationship between the Parliament and other ECOWAS institutions. 6, to increase the media visibility of the Parliament's activities. 7, the ECOWAS Parliament should adopt a results-based management approach from top to bottom. And 8, the Parliament should create a donor onboarding